Welcome to our weekly broadcast of the African Treasures. Here we bring to you African arts, culture, and music. We also discuss issues of concern to people of the African descent in America, the Caribbean, South America, Africa, and all over the world. We invite you to come and see Africa in a positive light. So stay tuned and tell your friends to do the same.
Welcome to another episode of the African Treasures. I'm Dr. Okeke, your host.
And I'm his co-host, Terry Patterson.
Terry, as you well know, the main purpose of this program is to celebrate Mother Africa. And we do so by bridging the gaps and promote understanding between African Americans, Caribbeans, South Americans, and Africans.
Right.
And there seems to be some aspect of the African culture that African Americans, Caribbeans, and South Americans seem to be very uncomfortable, a little bit uncomfortable with. And what comes to mind when I say that?
Actually, polygamy comes to mind.
Polygamy? Mm-hmm. Well, what is polygamy?
Well, polygamy here in Western civilization is when two people who are legally married, one spouse goes outside of the marriage before the spouse that they're married to is either deceased or they are legally divorced and marries another spouse of the opposite gender.
Well, thank you for that. To help us explore these issues today, we have two guests. And we have Mrs. Ramatu Sabat and Mr. Carlton Haywood. But before we start, let me tell you, an attorney.
Yes.
And you know this issue of polygamy is illegal here in this country.
Exactly.
It's against the law. It's a criminal offense, as a matter of fact. Mm-hmm. And I know we have polygamy, bigamy, and they're all illegal. So we're here to let everybody know that we're not here to promote it, and we're not here to condemn it either. We just want to see what it is, try to understand it, talk about it, and find out what it is. So, Terry, I'm going to let you chat with Mrs. Sabat.
Okay. Hello, Mrs. Sabat. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, thank you.
Good. Well, it's a pleasure to have you on our show today. As you've heard, we're here to talk about polygamy. But first, I would like for you to introduce yourself and to tell us where you're from, a little bit about your background.
Okay. My name is Ramatu Afebwa Sabat. Afebwa being my maiden name. I'm from the royal family of Afebwa in Okeke, Nigeria. And I myself I grew up in a polygamous home where my father was married to 3 wives. Mm-hmm. And my educational background, I went to school, my degree is in marketing, went to Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, that's in Nigeria.
Right. Okay, wonderful. So you mentioned that you are a product of a polygamous household. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about your father and his background.
My father was a medical doctor. He's deceased now. My mother is also deceased, and she was a school teacher. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So tell us, what exactly was your experience and in your culture in Africa, in Nigeria? What does it mean to be a polygamist?
As a child of a polygamous home, mm-hmm. I can tell you that, and as what I experienced other people's, mm-hmm. and through another research that I did, I was an assistant researcher in polygamy from northern Nigeria. I can give you that too, but let's start from me, yes. My experience. Being a child, you don't even understand what's going on, mm-hmm. and you don't know. You know that you're in a home, your father is there, and you have 3 mothers. The way we were raised is to believe that all 3 women there are your mothers, but you know who your biological mother is, but you don't know it in that context. Like I'm saying, I'm biological. This is because I'm an adult and I understand it like that.
Right. So they're all in the same home.
In the same home.
Okay.
And that is the way that is supposed to function, not in a sneaky way. It has to be an agreement between the husband and the first wife, and there has to be a good reason why the husband wants to take upon another wife. One could be the first wife is not able to produce children. It could be she is sick. It could be whatever you call good reason between the two people to agree to marry the next wife.
So does that, when you say a good reason, does that mean by the, a legal standard, but does someone else have to come in, or is it just between the man and the wife?
It's between the man and the wife. If you're saying legal, now that is legal in African culture.
Okay.
And being that most Africans that do it are also coming from a religious background like in Islam.
Right.
And that is allowed to a certain extent, where is a quotation, I won't say a paraphrase, I'll paraphrase a chapter in the Quran that says that a man cannot treat two wives equally, but you can do justice by having them, and whatever you give number one, it has to be exact, and you give number two. So also the same reason where you love the first wife, but she's not able to give you certain things, and has to be agreement where you go and take upon the next wife.
Okay. So there has to be a good reason, so when the other woman comes into the picture, then
Correct.
she knows exactly why she's there.
Correct.
Okay. So so tell us, how was it growing up in that sort of household, and did you have other siblings as well?
Yes, as a matter of fact, my father had 24 children.
Okay.
And also this is coming from, in our culture, especially the royal family, they believe that you have to have a lot of children, and that's too much work for one woman.
Exactly.
So automatically, if you're coming from that structure, you're going to have more than one wife,
Right.
most of the time. So I think that's one of the reasons my father ended up with 3 wives, and he did say that to me before he passed away. The first one was arranged marriage before he even got out of school, and the second one is the one he married that he loved, and then the third one was another arranged marriage, so he can have many children. And that's
Okay.
what happened.
Okay. So do you think that it was a cohesive, unit in your house?
We did the best. That's what I can say. The best that we could do.
Okay.
To make it that way. Of course, we're humans,
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that enlightened view. That's very interesting.
We'll be right back in a few minutes.
The Law Office of Donald P. Edwards is proud to sponsor African Treasures, a program that celebrates the African continent, its people, its music, its past and its future. Wherever we are on the face of the earth, we are an African people.
Prime Care Learning Center is committed to building leaders of tomorrow. With one location in Riverdale and another in College Park, we cater to children from 6 weeks to age 14. Our babies are nurtured and tenderly cared for by our professional staff. Our children receive a healthy breakfast, lunch, and afternoon snack, and fun time on the playground. We offer a Becca program for pre-K 3 and up, and the High Scope program for Georgia Pre-K. We also provide pickup and drop-off buses for after-school programs. For more information, contact our College Park campus at 770-997-9305 or our Riverdale campus at 770-997-3435. Or you may visit our website at www.primecarelearning.com.
We are bringing the treasures of Africa from all parts of the world straight to you.
Welcome back again to African Treasures. Our topic today is polygamy, and we're trying to see how it affects people or how African Americans view it, how Africans view it, and our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean and South America, how they view it. And today, to help give us the South American and Caribbean perspective on this subject matter, we have in our midst Mr. Carlton Haywood. Welcome to the show, sir.
Good to be here.
Introduce yourself, please.
I'm Carlton Haywood. I'm presently president of the Trinidad and Tobago Society in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been in the States since 1966. I graduated from Queens College City University of New York. Came to Atlanta in 1988.
Welcome to the African Treasures.
Well, I hope we can get some more light in terms of this particular subject matter.
Yes, you're familiar with the word polygamy and having more wives or women having more than one husband or so. And how is it viewed in the Caribbean? How do they, I mean, what are the views about this whole thing?
I think to the extent in terms of the legal definition of polygamy and how it is viewed in an African context, the Caribbean and to some extent Latin America is swimming in a different stream. So to the extent that people may not understand some of the African history and why polygamy is what it is within that particular environment, what operates in the Caribbean and maybe Latin America to some other extent is a manifestation of social relationships, which one could say in a social context, well, that's polygamy. I'll give you an example. You may have within a particular village, and this tends to happen more maybe in rural areas, where a man may have a wife and what we tend to call an outside woman or a girlfriend. But there are women who look to men for either a continuation of in terms of because of his size, because of his material well-being, because of how he is positioned in the community or the society, that they will like to have a child for that particular individual. And in some cases, it is more a question of having a male child to carry on that name because they want to carry on the progeny in terms of what this particular individual can provide to that woman. Because if you come from this particular person and you carry that name, what it does, it gives them a pass in terms of maybe the economic field, social standing, physical stature. So there is a different approach with regards to what you may identify as polygamy within the African context. What we in the Caribbean will say they are social relationships because a structure has been broken down because of religion to some extent and Christianity specifically, that you're required only to have one wife. That the basis in terms of a society is impacted by the religious constraints. So to the extent that we don't have much of experience in terms of Islam from the African perspective, we find that Christianity rather is the underlying institution where social relationships are built up. But you do have breakdown in terms of, you do have a continuation of some of the African traditions, but it is swimming in a different stream, so that you find it is impacted by, in terms of the environment, by social standing, by what people bring to a relationship. If a man wants a child, is married to a particular woman, you may find that because of the need to have a son, to carry on that person's name, he looks for other women to see if that woman can provide him with a son. There is also an economic context that a man may want to have more than one child, and maybe more so a son, to carry on and help him in particular areas. The person might be a tradesman, so he needs someone to carry on his tradition, so that when he gets older, there is the son who will be there to provide for him. So there are different streams, and there's some similarity in terms of the African relationship, but there is a different tributary that I would say people in the Caribbean and Latin America are swimming in.
This is very, very interesting. Please don't go away. We're coming back. We're going to know more about this issue, polygamy. Don't go away.
All know that dialysis can be an uncomfortable and tedious process. We at Trinity Dialysis Clinic understand this and strive to make your visit as positive and comfortable as possible. Our experienced staff and state-of-the-art medical equipment will ensure that you will get the best quality treatment available. Trinity Dialysis Clinic is conveniently located at 1354 Cleveland Avenue in East Point, just 5 minutes from the airport. Come and enjoy a relaxed and uplifting environment with us and make Trinity Dialysis Clinic your home away from home.
There is a lot more to Africa than wild animals and big trees. Tune in weekly to the African Treasures program and learn more about the modern-day Africa and the African people.
One cannot fall in love with that which they don't know. So remember to tune into African Treasures Weekly, and keep in mind, to love Africa is to know Africa.
Welcome back again to African Treasures and to the conclusion of this topic, polygamy. Terry.
Yes.
Listening to Mr. Haywood from the Caribbean and to Mrs. Sabat from Africa, it seems like this whole thing that Africans have been blamed for years, it seems like we're stigmatized with it. Whenever you talk about polygamy, it's Africa. It seems like it goes on here, but I think it's called the husband's baby mama drama.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting because it seems like a lot of the stigmatism that you mentioned is not anything what we expected. I mean, it seems like Americans are the ones that are carrying on the same type of relationships, but we just call them something different, and they're more secretive, where, you know, people are having their husbands and wives being surveillanced by, you know, private investigators, and people are having children outside of the marriage and having relationships outside of the marriage, but, you know, we don't necessarily call it that, you know, stigmatizing word of polygamy.
My question is this, sorry, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
My question is this: how many people out there know somebody who's dating a married man, or who's having baby by a married man? How many of that is going on in here? That is the same thing, except that it goes on without a drama. Mm-hmm. In Africa, it goes on in the Caribbean without a drama. Mm-hmm. So, Ramatu, what do you think?
I think it's hypocritical. Let's just bring it out in the open, and if it's going to be practiced, and let it be legal like the Africans do it. Of course, you know, there's agreement between the husband and wife before the second wife comes in. So with that mutual understanding, it will be less drama, like you're saying over here, where you have to sneak around and do that, and then the wife finds out, and it's just not healthy relationship for all involved, especially the children.
The children suffer. The children suffer.
But one thing that's different, though, that she mentioned is that all of the children are under one household, and they're being taken care of.
That's right.
By the man.
Right.
And in American culture, a lot of times that's not the case,
right.
that the children are not being taken care of. Men are having all of these babies out of wedlock, and, you know, the kids are the ones that suffer. So
they
it
don't know
seems
each
like,
other.
Right.
Brothers, sisters don't know each other.
Mm-hmm.
In the future, they may
marry
each other.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I think within the African context, you have maybe a tribal structure that more or less impacts and it gives a form of discipline to that particular type of cultural arrangement. Within the West, i.e. in terms of maybe the Americas, you find religion has really structured the family relationship in terms of a vow that one takes with regards to the bringing up of children, the rearing of children, so that you are constrained with regards to your social relationships in a marriage, man and woman relationship. And in terms of the children, for example, in terms of when I was getting married, I had to write to my wife's grandfather, who was the patriarch, for him to give her hand in marriage. I had to also, in terms of the church, identify that I would bring the children up as Catholics. So there are constraining factors and there are social factors which condition people to the type of relationships that they have, and that the structure that you have in place. To the extent that one is not familiar that there are other types of marriage relationship and social structures,
Right.
you can find that people fail to understand this and think that there's only one stream that you can flow in. Well, there are other streams that you can flow in, and it happens in all cultures,
Correct.
all ethnic groups.
Now, he mentions all cultures, so are there other cultures besides the Caribbean and African cultures that we've discussed today?
One just have to look around in terms of, if you look back in terms of the royal family, in terms of what they did, they were arranged marriages. The king may want to have a son to carry on his name. You can go back to, in terms of history, where the wife was condemned because she could not bear him a son. So it's this question of who is looking at what history and how it is that you're formulating the question. That this is where maybe the misunderstanding comes, is in terms of the communication process. To the extent that you have some of the same issues and factors in different societies, the question is how it is framed, so that people can understand.
The name you call it, the name you call it may give you a feeling of exoneration,
right,
or may give you a feeling of guilt. But the way I look at it, what really benefits the family? Because this whole thing is going on. Even in the white culture here, they have girlfriends. The man is married, but he has 1 or 2 or 3 girlfriends, as case may be. And sometimes you have to tear down one family in order to have another one. And when you tear family down like that, the women suffer because they eventually wind up with the children. The children don't have access to their father. And the children of the new family don't have a good relationship with the next family. But whether it goes on or doesn't go on, it goes on. So thank you for coming to the show to African Treasure to help us understand this thing a little bit. Because a lot of people in America think they're not in polygamous situations while they're actually living in it. Some were born in it, some are still practicing this as we go. So whether you have baby mama daddy, or baby mama daddy, or baby daddy mama, that's polygamy right there.
I want to take this opportunity to present you with this book, Forged from the Love of Liberty, by Dr. Eric Williams, our former historian.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And, whoa, thank you. I wasn't expecting this. Thank you, sir. We are going to bring this show to an end. And maybe some other day we are going to pick it up again, because there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to understand. We need to understand each other and celebrate our differences. We're not going to let our differences keep us apart. Whether you're African or African American or Black from Caribbean or South America, we all belong to Mother Africa, and we're going to celebrate our differences and understand each other a little bit more. So thank you for coming here.
Thank you.
Thank you for Mr. Bat.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Yes.
Terry, that's very enlightening, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Well, now we know what polygamy is.
Yes, and we know that there are definitely different aspects of it that maybe we don't understand.
I think we'd like to talk about this in depth at some other time.
Yes.
Well, thank you for joining us today. Join us again next week for another episode of African Treasures.
for coming to African Treasures and sharing this wonderful performance with us. It was truly captivating. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, what is the name of the group?
Yeah, the name of the group is called Africa Soge. Africa, we all know that's where we're from.
Right.
And Soge, it means sun.
Sun.
When it's hot outside.
Okay.
So it means Soge. Soge means sun. This is the language from Guinea, West Africa, and the language called Susu language.
Susu language.
Yes.
And so the performances that you did today, do they come from the Susu people?
This performance is coming from Guinea, but it's not coming from Susu people. It's coming from Malinke people, and also Berese, and this is a triad ethnic in Guinea, West Africa.
Okay, so it's a combination of different cultures that you've learned. Now I've noticed you have a few little ones performing here. Are they your children?
Oh yeah, they're my children. You know, all three of them.
Okay.
And, I don't teach them yet. We just started.
Oh,
so they're
wonderful.
just feeling it, doing it. So this is my company.
Okay, great. And this is your lovely wife.
That's my
here,
wife.
of course.
Yes.
And the gentleman over there?
That's my brother, and also who's my student.
Student, okay.
You know, I'm teaching him how to be a drummer.
A drum.
And
so how long does it take for you to learn how to how long have you been drumming, and how long would it take the average person to, I know they probably won't get to where you are, but how long would it take?
Well, it took me a long time because I started since I was 7 years old.
Wow.
So now I'm 29.
Okay.
So I'm almost 30 years. So I'm still doing it, you know. More you play, more you know.
Right, and I noticed your wife was just doing it on this set. You know,
I just teach her, and she can dance too.
She can dance too? Okay.
Yeah.
Next time you come back to African Treasures, you have to dance for us. The other thing that African Treasures focuses on is we want to bring Africa to America.
Yeah.
And this is a wonderful way of you doing it. Do you offer classes perhaps?
Oh yeah, we offer classes on Sunday. That's what is an indicator. And I'm not gonna, you know, just call all the places there because sometimes, you know, we travel.
Okay.
We travel. So if you just want to reach us, you know, you can call my number, you know, 447618287.
Okay, that number will be provided at the end of the show for the guests who, you know, who would want to take that down. But again, thank you so very much for coming and sharing your talents with us. It was truly, truly moving.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we hope to have you again on African Treasures.
Oh yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For the past 10 years, the orthodontic clinic of Dr. Craig B. Williams has been creating beautiful and winning smiles on adults and children throughout Metro Atlanta.
Your smile says a lot about your self-confidence.
Using the latest technology, our team of dedicated professionals work to give you that beautiful and winning smile that fits your budget.
Our office is conveniently located near South DeKalb Mall. You can reach us at 404-243-3210.
I'm Dr. Craig B. Williams. My staff and I would like to salute Mother Africa as we continue to strive to provide the best orthodontic care for adults and children in Metro Atlanta.
Thank you for watching African Treasures. My name is Attorney Donald Edwards, a personal injury attorney with offices in Atlanta. Please feel free to call me at 404-526-8866 if I may be of service. Thank you.